Sorry, no rollslop. Sorry. This is a rollslop shelter, alright? There's a recent heavy exposure of rollslop released earlier in this week. This is a shelter from the rollslop. No rollslop here today. Rollslop is strictly prohibited. Game's gonna be awesome with mods. Somebody already uncapped the frame rate. Somebody already uncapped the frame rate. That's pretty cool. Work fast. But it would take the game basically turning into a character action game for me to play it. I don't know, I've heard a lot of valid complaints about it, like, not being very well balanced for solo, and then the fact that it's like 90% recycled content. It might be better to wait. If you're really interested in playing it. Seems like it'll only get better with time. I think they want to turn it into a DLC depository. It's probably going to be one of those games with like $100 of DLC by next year. Cool with that. I mean, wait, to be honest. Me personally, I would only play it if you got like heavy combat mods. Yeah, I'm hearing the roguelike part of it is actually pretty weak, which is a problem with a lot of roguelikes with that, with like decent combat, like not great builds and stuff. There was that one one game I played a couple years back. Like, combat was decent, but it had like no builds, so it got boring really quick. I haven't played it, and I'm not going to play it, so take what I'm saying as gospel. That's just what I've heard. I just wish I had a Neo game with a roguelike mode like that instead of Comboslop. That would be top tier. That same game, but with like better combat. I would be all over that. Not gonna happen though. Yeah. Wukong looked like it was mostly graphics were like the main thing that people liked about it. The combat seemed not great. I watched a bit of gameplay for it because I have a computer that could run that game, but combat just didn't look interesting. Souls games where it's just generic European medieval stuff. That's not interesting to me. But gameplay just didn't look my style, so I didn't play it. heavily nerfed. Some people like watching the kitty sitting streams, but my Steam Deck is partially broken, so I haven't been doing those streams. Some people like those streams because I play different games. I play a lot of indie games in those streams, and I haven't been able to do that. Going to be a lot more interesting games coming out in the summer. Right now, there's nothing really interesting going on. Lost Soul aside, Shinobi, Absalom, Rushing Beat X, supposedly, Double Dragon Revive, all that stuff is exciting, but months away. I mean, here's the PGR EMC collab, but I don't know if people want to watch me play that. Not for everybody. Everybody likes watching that game. Can't play that game on Steam Deck anymore because they are on button. Maybe somebody at the convention tomorrow will be able to fix it, but I severely doubt it. Seriously doubt it. Nice if somebody local could fix it. The guy that serviced it before deleted his Facebook account and disappeared, so that's not an option. I went to go hit him up, thinking he could fix it. He nuked his Facebook account, it says deleted user. I don't blame him. I'm very tempted to delete mine myself, but I wish I had some external contact with that guy outside of Facebook. He could fix the problem pretty easily. Yeah, the streams have been pretty uninteresting lately. The most exciting thing that happened was the Rushing Beat demo earlier this week, but they deleted it already, so I'm not sure what to think of that. They deleted the demo for it, and they deleted the feedback for it too. Which is weird. Why don't you at least keep the feedback up? So who knows what's going to go on with that game? That was one of my most anticipated games this year. Now I'm not sure what to think. It's weird to delete the demo and then delete the feedback and then make it so nobody can play the game anymore. Even if you have it downloaded, you can't play it. So I hope that game turns out well, but it's got some pretty steep competition this year. There's a ton of beat-em-ups coming out in the next, 6 months. That game definitely needs some polish and improvement if it's going to even think of competing. Which I guess is why they took it down, but taking it down randomly is not, you ask me.
Charge! You're beaten!
I couldn't get this running on Steam Deck. I tried. I tried and could not get it running. The game was deep trolling me. I got the game to install. I got it to install and load up, and I like installed the dependencies and stuff, but then like it still won't. It won't let you get to gameplay. It basically freezes. You get stuck at the connection menu. I kind of gave up on it for now. It's making me very chrono triggered. So yeah, I'm on computer. I do have the game installed on Steam Deck, but I could not get it running. I tried everything I could. No dice. Just did not want to work. Apparently some people are having that problem and some people aren't, so I don't know. I have no idea what causes it. Yeah, I saw. I replied to your post, man. Yeah, I saw it. I answered your question, the Warriors Abyss channel on my server.
The mind has no limits! The mind has...
I read everything that's in my server, so if you ever ask me a question, I respond pretty much almost right away. I mean, it depends on what I'm doing. I might be walking or working. What is it you want to install? You gotta be more specific. 'Cause I can teach you how to do it, but you gotta be more specific than that. What is it you want to install? Like emulators or like non-Steam games or what? If you can do all of that, then it's gonna take some learning for sure. It took me a good couple months to learn how to use mine.
Annihilation!
I can generally install most things by myself. Like, I did everything right for this game, but there's just something wrong with how it works. Open BOR, you don't need to do anything. You just have to put the, you have to put the EXE for the game in your Steam favorites, and then you just force a proton layer on it and it works. It's very simple. Those are like the easiest games to set up, and they're all on the same engine, so they work. Emulators, there's something called EmuDeck. EmuDeck streamlines a lot of that process, so use that instead. EmuDeck will run pretty much, set up pretty much any emulator besides Switch, because all the mainstream ones got shut down, but it's not hard to set those up regardless. Just need the games from your Switch and then the keys and the firmware. Simple to set up. There's that new emulator called Eden I want to try. Oh, do you mean the Xbox? You mean Xbox Game Pass or Microsoft Store? Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to do that actually. I don't subscribe to Game Pass.
The mind has no limits!
There's guides on how to do it though. Now, some stuff is a real pain to run, like, Wuthering Waves is the most popular game that, doesn't run on Steam Deck at all, because the anti-cheat blocks it. And they made the incredibly stupid decision to put it on Steam. They put Wuthering Waves on Steam, which is like a big deal, because, a lot of free-to-play games like this, like what I'm currently playing, they actively avoid going on Steam because Steam takes a cut of all microtransactions. They put it on Steam. They figured that it was worth putting it on Steam despite, you know, Valve taking a cut of every cent that they make. But then they didn't make the anti-cheat work with Steam Deck, so got a bunch of bad reviews because of it. Like, you know, if you put it on Steam, people are going to be begging to play it on there, right? Like, apparently it doesn't run very well. It's like 40 FPS tops, but still, I would not put a big, major free-to-play gacha game on Steam and then not have it work on Steam Deck, because that's like exactly why, one of the reasons why Fortnite is not on Steam. Now, what does it run? PS3? Bizarro 4 works fine. I put up a video a couple days ago if you want to check that out. I'll post it in the chat after I'm done with this dungeon. Muso Orochi Z has a PC port.
How did they find this?
You can Google where to find that.
Don't let them get the word out.
Can't really tell you here.
Come on to our turn. There's no getting out.
You just play the PC port. I made a video on how to set it up. You just play that instead of the PS3 version. More battery life that way. The same game. Bizarre works pretty well for the most part. It does drop frames sometimes, but after you compile most of the shaders, it's pretty smooth. I've been pleasantly surprised with it.
You couldn't even hold back one attack. Hold there. Back up is coming. Don't let them get the spot.
It emulates most of the popular games just fine. And, like, the only things you'd want to emulate it on anyway is, stuff that didn't get a PC port.
Adam, lad!
From my experience, most of the popular games you'd want to play on there, especially if you're subscribed to me, so, like, all the character action games and stuff, and the Muso games, like the Tales games and stuff, they all run fine. So, Tales of Xelia's, you know, the Muso games, Basara, Gundam Reborn, all those ones that did get ports, they run pretty well. Some better than others, but
Come on, what are you afraid of?
it's not really that
Nothing
bad.
a few prices are negotiable, of course.
Wanna let weapons do the talking? Fine by me.
Yeah, think about PS3 emulations, like, most of the big games got PC ports, either when they came out or later on. So, you don't really need to use it for that purpose. Just buy the game on Steam.
Annihilation!
But, for the stuff that was exclusive, I personally tested it. I can vouch for them running quite well.
The mind has no limits!
The Steam Deck can go up to Switch. It can emulate up to Switch. A decent chunk of Switch games run better on Steam Deck. But it's definitely your mileage may vary thing. It's not going to be everything. But there's plenty of videos that will teach you that. You look for the specific game and you can find out if it's worth installing. For instance, like Hyrule Warriors, the original one, runs way better on Switch than the actual... runs way better on Switch, Steam Deck than Switch. It's actually like a night and day difference. And then there's other stuff that doesn't run any better or worse. Well, there's been a lot of rumors that Xillia 1 is supposed to get a remaster. I hope it's just both of them. I hope it's just both of them. They might cock tease us and make us wait, though. Who knows? There's been some rumors that the Summer Games Fest in a couple days, or next week, is supposed to have the next Tales game announced, which I'm not sure on the basis of that, but they never announce, they very rarely, if ever, announce games at the Tales Festival. The Tales Festival is more for super fans. It's basically just like a convention for Tales. They announce a lot of merch there, but they don't really announce games. So it could happen. I'm not sure if I want it to, considering how the last game turned out, but I'll be interested to see what it looks like. I might not bother buying it. If it's anything like the last game, I probably won't bother. But we'll see. I'm definitely interested. I'm interested to see what it looks like, even if I don't end up playing it. I find that interesting that they're saying that, because, like, aren't they breaking NDA by saying that? At the same time, I'm not surprised. They're all, like, 50 now. I think we're kind of moving away as an entertainment industry from having 50-year-olds play teenagers. They were already, like, my age when they recorded that game. And that was, like, 15 years ago. I find it strange that they're just coming out and saying it, and it hasn't been announced, but maybe, they might be pissed off because, you know, they didn't even get to turn it down, which happens a lot. That happened with, the Vesperia remaster, where they didn't even bother to contact Troy Baker, because Troy Baker is doing, you know, big AAA stuff now, right? He's doing the 8,000 remasters of Last of Us. He's not doing Weeb games anymore. So I guess Bamco just kind of assumed that he wouldn't take it for whatever table scraps they pay, because we know that they don't pay very well. But then he comes out and says he would have loved to do it. You know, if there was time in his schedule to do it, he would have done it, but he was not even contacted. So, it might be something like that. 50-year-olds doing teenagers, I find that works best in Japanese because they have, I don't know what it is. Their voice actors can pull it off a lot better than ours can. Case in point is Kingdom Hearts is a perfect example. Like the American and the English and Japanese voice actors for Kingdom Hearts are like the same age. They were the same age as Sora when they started. But like you listen to Kingdom Hearts 3 and it's like Haley Joel Osment, bless his heart, he cannot sound like a teenager anymore. He can't sound like a teenager. And that sucks. But the Japanese guy pulls it off like way better. Like, Haley Joel Osment is like my age now. Like, he cannot sound like a teenager.
Showing up with no backup. Boss fight is a push.
I like that they don't just, you know, fire people for getting old, but there definitely are some cases where maybe it should happen. It's like when they cast, like actual child actors for TV shows. I know this is a problem on the Stranger Things show, which I've never watched, but like, it's like only like a year or two has passed in universe in that show or something, but they've aged like 6 years. So now they look like young adults. They don't look like kids anymore. Whereas, as much as everybody hates when they put like 30-year-old teenagers in shows, it prevents that problem. You know, if you cast a 21-year-old teenager, you know, they won't look that different. But like when the series doesn't go, it doesn't progress in real time. Then they're like at that age that like puberty age
take Willa and go.
they change
Got it.
a lot.
See you at the entrance.
They look way too old. It's called Dawson casting when they do that. 30-year-old teenagers. Original Power Rangers was notorious for that.
Back its head with all your might.
Only like 2 of them were teenagers. Only like 2 of them were teenagers. You could tell they didn't think that through because when they got to Power Rangers Zeo, they said that there was a plot where Billy was supposed to graduate early, but like he was like 27 in real life, and he looked it. Even as a kid, I'm like,
Moving to the perimeter.
How are
Stay
you?
alert.
How are you graduating early? You're like 30, man. Like they prevented like casting an actual teenager, and then in high school, you know, as it goes on, he looks too old. But like, I think the Billy situation was
Back its head with all
not
your
much
might.
better. Like my character is graduating a year early, but I'm like 27 at that point, and I look at.
Annihilation!
His aging is very strange, because, like, I saw him at the convention a year or 2 ago, the one that I'm going to tomorrow, and he, like, hasn't aged at all. He, like, got all his aging out of the way on that show. And he, like, stopped aging. But it was definitely noticeable.
Rising crane.
Come up with some, like, crazy fantasy reason why he's 27 and his character's 17. The new cast was mostly, they were like 18 or 19, so they still passed for teenagers. But then you had people like Tommy. Tommy was like 22 at that point, and he did not look like a teenager. I'm sorry. He was like 19 when he started, so he actually was a teenager, but it was the problem I'm talking about, where you get somebody like actually age appropriate, and they age out of looking like the role really fast. There are some people who can pull it off, but I feel like most of the Power Rangers cast couldn't. Part of the reason why they were let go. They look too old.
Annihilation!
Teenagers.
The mind has no limits.
They're all people in their 20s. Just made it hilarious, so they kept trying to pass them off in being high school. I got obsessed with that setting. Like, if you're not gonna cast people that can at least pass for being teenagers, you should stop using that setting. It's not like it really changes much. You have to be just young adults in like college or between jobs or whatever. You don't have to struggle so hard to make them look young. Someone said this best. I don't think anybody who was on the casting decisions for Power Rangers understood what a teenager looks like. Like, pretty much. A lot of the reason they do stuff like that on shows is to avoid child labor laws. Like, they're really happy if they can get somebody who's, you know, legally an adult, but can at least somewhat pass for a teenager, because then they don't have to deal with child labor laws. The problem, like I said, is if the show goes on too long, you know, they're already kind of pushing it, having a 19-year-old play like a freshman in high school. But it's a problem that just gets worse as it goes on. That's why a lot of sitcoms that had kid actors, like Full House was very famous. The reason why they casted the Olsen twins was because, you know, when you're a child, you can only act a certain amount of hours a day or whatever. and there's like a mandatory on-site schooling. So when one would run out of hours, they would just switch the other one in. they basically found a loophole. It's like, yeah, this one can't work anymore, but her twin sister can. So we just switch her out and put her in the same clothes, and we've gotten around and we can get a full workday out of them. But that's part of the reason why they cast like 30-year-old teenagers and stuff, because the 30-year-old teenager doesn't have those limitations, and they can get a lot more done while they're shooting. My neighbor watches those Lifetime movies, and I remember I was watching her watch it. This was like some Canadian high school movie, and they had this woman in there who looked 30. She did not even remotely look like a teenager. She wasn't somebody who looked like, you know, they aged to the point where they could pass for a teenager. She looked 30. And I remember when that movie ended, I looked at the credits, I looked that actress up, she actually was 30. And she was supposed to be like a junior in high school. Like, are you even trying? There's nothing wrong with looking your age, but there comes a point where, you know, maybe you shouldn't be playing teenagers anymore. You should be playing more age-appropriate roles. I was like watching, I'm like, this chick looks 30. And she actually was 30. Like, you know, you could actually get a legal adult. You get a legal adult to play a junior or senior in high school, and it would be believable. You know, as long as they're like maybe 21 or 22, but not 30. 30 is really pushing it. I look young for my age still. I still look young, but if I was contacted to play a high schooler, I would say no. I'm like, yeah, I look young for my age, but I don't pass for a senior in high school anymore. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, those Lifetime movies are the best place to find the 30-year-old teenagers. They spam the 30-year-old teenagers a lot. Yeah, those movies are really bad, but they're funny to watch. Hey, BlazBlue's not working. What the heck? Well, they won't though. most people most people don't pass for teenagers when they're like in their late 20s. And if they do, it's with like 10 tons of professional makeup, which normal people don't have access to. Or at the very least, people don't doll themselves up that much to like go to the grocery store, right? Maybe for like a party or a wedding or like a graduation, you would do it. But yeah, they do that. They have to do that for people like that. They're like way too old for the role. They just put gobs and gobs of makeup on. I'm trying to fix Blaze Blue Entropy effect here. Yeah, there's a lot of those people on those reality shows that they can't accept aging even remotely, so they get the plastic surgery, but then it wears out and they look like raisins. They look worse than they would if they had just allowed themselves to age naturally. There's a bunch of shows about those people. Like,
Welcome to the
there
AceMine
we go, it's
training
fixed now.
system.
Well, there's something to be said about those Instagram accounts and those YouTube people that show their kids like from childhood. I would hate that. It's like the kids aren't consenting, right? Or they don't have a choice because they're too young to like move out. They're putting like so much of their lives on that channel. Like, man, I can't imagine like going to your first prom or something and people are like saying embarrassing stuff because your mom put up you needing your diapers changed when you were 3, which is like a normal thing to happen. There's nothing abnormal about that. It's just having it on the internet for thousands of people to see is not normal. People should stop doing that. like that Ryan's World kid. They must put that kid in Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus Pit. Keep him young, so you keep making toy videos. You can't age at all. You gotta stay a kid. That family's in the cahoots with Ra's al Ghul. Just drop him in the Lazarus Pit. I actually read an article about that. Apparently they're like they're recycling a lot of videos from when he was a child, and they just like re-edit them because he's obviously getting to the point where he's going to not have as much interest in toys for 6-year-olds, which is normal. I'm gonna go ahead and play on an easier difficulty. I got a D-Rust. I am not capable of playing this at high difficulty. I haven't played in like a month or two. Yeah, let's give it a... tone it down a little bit. Get my mojo back. There we go. He'll do anything but make a game with fun gameplay. It's mostly just cutscenes. Death Stranding just looked like running errands, but not getting paid for it. You have to pay. You have to pay $60 to do boring errands, but there's no paycheck. It's just like playing League of Legends. You pay a fee to get yelled at by people. Like, I'm not gonna do that. League of Legends is just working retail, and there's no paycheck. You get chewed out by random people, but you don't get paid for it. No one is having fun. Not one person playing the game is having fun. They hate the game and they hate themselves. It's pure torment. Terrible. It's like the worst video game ever made. You think there being so much rollslop is bad? No. League of Legends is way worse. All these rollslop games have nothing on League of Legends. I'd put Overwatch up there too. Dead by Daylight's another one. Playing a game that makes you miserable and people verbally abuse you and you don't get paid for it. It's like, normally the criteria people have to get verbally abused, because there's a paycheck for it. But, not on League. There's no paycheck. Hard pass. When you get verbally abused, I want a significant paycheck. I'm not doing it for free. bad start. That's why I don't play those games. That's exactly why I don't play those games, because I'm mentally ill and neurodivergence, and that comes with getting frustrated easily. You know, if I get pissed at the game, no one's getting affected by it, right? There's a big difference. That's why I avoid playing those games. Because I know better. I know that I'm just going to be miserable. I had some people come in here, why don't you play more popular games? I'm like, well, I know I'm not going to enjoy them. That's why. I already don't like how easily frustrated I get. I'm not going to play stuff like that. Period. There's no benefit. And no one wants to watch that either. I've gotten better at controlling my low frustration threshold, but it's not something you can just remove. People like me with trauma symptoms and anxiety and depression and stuff, it's just normal to have that. So, like, to play video games at all, I have to avoid. I had to avoid games like that. Because I know it's not going to do me any good. I think a lot of people could do with that advice. Like, just don't play games like that. Just don't play games like that, because it's really bad if you already have a hard time dealing with frustration. Just don't play games like that. That's why it's weird that all the rollslop drones complain when, you know, like Kazan had an easy mode. It's like, dude, you know, some people just want to enjoy playing a game, right? That they spend their hard-earned money on. They don't want to fight a boss for 6 hours straight. And, like, yes, it is very satisfying to beat bosses like that, but it's not for everybody. Like, not everybody wants to do that. And, like, having an easy mode does not affect your enjoyment. The normal mode of Kazan is plenty difficult. The easy mode is, like, not even that easy. It doesn't turn it into, you know, a button-mashing simulator. You still have to play the game. But all the From drones were complaining about it. I'm like, get over yourself, man. Some people just want to have fun playing a game after they work so hard. Like, yeah, there is a level of satisfaction to doing something skill-based, but not everybody wants to do that, like, all the time, or at all. I just want to play a game that plays decently. Maybe they want a challenge, but they don't want to fight the same boss for the equivalent of a 9-to-5 shift. Why is that so hard for people to understand? That's what I hate about rollslop, because it's some of the most toxic people. Let people do what they want with the game they bought. It's not anyone else's right to dictate what people do with something they legally purchased. Games on this channel that I only play on normal because I don't like the harder difficulty, because it makes it less fun. I mean, you guys have seen the crazy stuff I've done in games. I'm capable of doing it. I'm capable of doing it. It doesn't mean that I want to. And it doesn't mean that it's worth the hit to my mental health to do it either. I used to be very much like those people I'm talking about, where I would get pissed off and really frustrated and, you know, ended up not being worth it because the videos didn't do well. And I have less tolerance for that these days. At the end of the day, I just want to have fun. If I don't play the game on the max difficulty and go bald getting pissed off at a boss for 6 hours, that's just how it's going to be. Not everyone has the same frustration tolerance. Like, mine is pretty low, just because of shit I've been through. That's why lately I have not been, I've not been malding too much lately, within reason. I think expecting yourself to play, like, challenging games and never get pissed off is a little bit unrealistic, but, I try to keep it more balanced now. Like, if I'm just not feeling a game, I'll just Alt F4 and shut it off, come back next time. I didn't used to do that. It's one of the things I've changed around here. Like, if this run dies to something stupid, I'll probably get a little bit pissed off, but I'll just play something else. Oh, lots of Muso games are terrible on the hardest difficulty. It's one of those things you can, like, be happy with doing, like, once or twice. But not doing it, like, all the time. Some games are just shit on harder difficulties. It doesn't actually get harder, they just give stuff more health. Those are usually the hard modes I don't do. Those are the ones I actively avoid. They just give stuff more health. I'm like over that at this point. Give me a fun challenge that's not just HP Sponge City, and I'm more likely to do it. Or give me some kind of reward for doing it. But if it's just the same thing for longer, I don't really want to do that anymore. I've gotten tired of it. back. That was not bad. Yeah, I've done that as well, like, Guacamelee 2. I didn't really play that game on the channel. I played it, off-stream. It was a good game, but then I saw that you had to do, like, basically this long-ass Kaizo Mario dungeon to get the true ending, and I'm like, you know what? I'm capable of doing this, but I don't want to. So I just looked up the ending. I'm like, you know, I don't hate the game. I liked it enough to play it all the way to the end, and I didn't get paid to play it, or you can get a review key. I paid for it with my own money, and I'm like, I just don't want to, I'm not feeling the game enough to do all that for an ending I can just watch on YouTube. That's something a lot of people could learn as well. Like, you don't have to do everything in a game. Is it really worth going bald over some insanely hard challenge like that for like a 90-second ending? I mean, sometimes it can be. If you don't have anything else to play, it can be really great to have something like that, but not all the time. Sometimes it's just too much. I've heard many things about the FF7 remake minigames. I would say on one hand, it's very accurate. JRPGs back then had a lot of really cool minigames, but the common consensus seems to be that they went overboard and they made too many of them. And of course, just like any other minigame, they're not all created equal. There might be some you might like, and there might be some that make you really chrono-triggered, and it's like, well, you really want to get chrono-triggered over a minigame? That's why the FF7 Rebirth has that mod that lets you just trivialize the minigames if you don't like them, which I think is the best of both worlds. Like, hey, if you want the gameplay variety, and you like minigames, you know, they're there, but you can also mod them out. I think that's... If I ever do play that game, I do have FF7 Rebirth. I probably would just mod past the minigames, to be honest. That's what happens when you take a, like 50, 60 hour game and try to make it a 180 hour game. I've never been a fan of FF7. I never really cared for it when it was new, but I do know that they have dragged it out like crazy. Like, it wasn't intended to be dragged out that long. You're not supposed to be in Midgar for like 50 hours. And on one hand, it's, you know, some people like that they, you know, they added more insight to stuff and detail, but it's still way too long. And like, the game obviously wasn't designed to have you be stuck in the first town for that long. The original writers never once designed it like that. But that's how the game ended up. It's a lot of padding. Need more remakes, RPG remakes, like Tales of Destiny remake, where they're like, they made the combat objectively better. I'd say the Vita Tales games as well. They made the combat better, and they did add like more insight on things, but not to the point where the game got too long. It was still one game. They remade everything. Those are some of the better RPG remakes I've played. You know, they did add more stuff, but they didn't make the game, like, triple in length. It's very much kept in control. None of this, you know, 80 hours of mini-games and a big, vast expanse of nothing open world. Like, none of that. Pretty sure they know the implications of botching the FF7 remake, but they're already kind of doing that, to be honest, with the whole multiverse stuff. I get that that was very popular when they started making the game, but it's gotten so tiresome now. Even Bayonetta 3 did that. Bayonetta 3 was multiverse. Definitely was not better for that. The game had a terrible plot. I regret watching the cutscenes of that game. I regret it. I'm normally a cutscene skipper, right? There are times when I try to give a story a chance. I almost always end up screwed over. But yeah, I wish I had just done my normal thing and skipped them. Save my brain cells and sanity by not reading it. See, that's what I liked about the Tales of Destiny remake. It's actually a very similar situation to PS1 FF7 and then all the stuff that came after. So all the movies and games and anime and stuff. A lot of people don't like Destiny 2. They don't like the change of protagonist and like what happened to the old characters and stuff. So the way that they did the Destiny remake was they didn't outright retcon the second game, but they made it in a way that if you wanted it to end with the remake, you could. If you wanted to play the second one after, you could as well. And I think that was the best of both worlds. Destiny 2 is a very divisive game for numbers of reasons. And I think that they addressed it pretty well. It's like, yeah, you know, if you don't like Destiny 2, you know, we touched up some things in the original Destiny remake so that, you know, it could stand on its own, but the old one is still there too, if you want. But even by that point, in like 2006 or whatever, when that game came out, they knew that the game wasn't well liked. Yeah, there is a Destiny 2. It's about Kyle and Ruti's son. They're basically an entirely new party. I wonder how they will address that. I'm actually very curious as somebody who doesn't care about FF7. Like, I know the basis of the plot. How are they going to do that? So I saw the end of Rebirth. It just looked like a WTF moment. Like 2 eras and 2 clouds or something, right?
眠れない眠れない。
ねじれ穴込めていくよ。ねじれる。
右の左は上の下。
Gotta play Heartsar again. Maybe that will be next month's Heartsar replay. That actually is one of the best remakes I've ever played. The Tales of Innocence remake is objectively better than the original. Heartsar is kind of divisive, but I think it's an example of how to remake a game like that and not completely piss everybody off. They managed to make most people happy. Which is more than you can say for the FF7 remake. Some people really like it. A lot of people my age. Well, I didn't really grow up with the game, but a lot of people my age did. They hate the remake. Because they wanted a one-to-one remake and they're adding all the multiverse stuff to it, which was already kind of played out by the time the first one came out. A lot of that's Marvel movies. Yeah, there was that period where the Marvel movies started getting less popular, but then video games kept running the multiverse shit into the ground. Because we got the FF7 remake and then Bayonetta 3 were like within about a year and a half of each other. And they're both doing that, and both fan bases of those franchises hated it. I mean, the writing in Bayonetta 3 is way worse than anything the remake has done. But it was the same thing. Just adding multiverse stuff to, like, relatively simple story. It didn't need that extra level of depth and complexity. Especially when you sell the game to people. No, I meant they both do multiverse stuffs. Bayonetta 3 is a multiverse story, just like the FF7 remake games are. They're both multiverse. The Bayonetta 3 is a way worse multiverse story. I could say that. I could say that without having played the FF7 games for more than a few hours. The story in Bayonetta 3 is a complete disaster. It's interesting because the multiverse is like only one of the things that was wrong with that game's writing. It wasn't the only thing that was wrong with it. But the fact that they doubled down on multiverse stuff just made it even worse. Alright, do people want to hear about Bayonetta 3? Do people want a Bayonetta 3 rant? Because I can do a Bayonetta 3 rant, but people have to want to know it. They want to hear it, and they have to not care about spoilers. I really don't think that story is something you should care about, but I don't want to spoil it too excessively. That game's story is terrible. Alright, well basically, you go to different multiverses, and you find different Bayonettas, but they're all Vegeta-level jobbers, and they die, like, instantly. Trash mobs. And like the first time it happens, it is admittedly a little bit heart-wrenching. The problem is that they established from the first alternate Bayonetta death that you always get a weapon or some kind of gameplay mechanic when they die. So what basically ends up happening is, after they die, after the first one dies, you just wait for the other ones to die, because you know that there's gameplay tied to them. And they keep dying to things that should not kill a character of Bayonetta's power scaling, right? Bayonetta has fought, like, giant deities in the past. It shouldn't be dying to trash mobs. It shouldn't be dying to trash mobs, but it keeps happening. It happens like 6 times. So they try to set up Viola as the new Bayonetta. The problem is the writing is terrible, because she's not capable of doing anything in that game without being saved. And I think that's not inherently a bad character trait. There definitely are a lot of media series, not just games, but like movies and books and shows and comic books and stuff that try to oversell a new character by just making them perfect and overpowered. That's not the problem. It's that they basically tried to do what Capcom did with Nero, but they took 2 games to do that, right? Like, Nero in DMC4 is brash and arrogant and full of himself, but he's never depicted as, like, completely incapable, right? He's inexperienced. He's not incapable. The problem with Viola is she has all those traits, but she sucks. She sucks at everything. And, like, that would be fine, you know, maybe if they had done a Bayonetta 4, they could have had her become the new Bayonetta, but the game does not really show you her doing anything that makes her even remotely capable of being the new Bayonetta. But at the end of the game, she becomes the new Bayonetta. Also, Jean dies to a trash mob, which is, you ask anybody who played that game, that's the thing they hate the most. Jean has been put in the back seat for so long in those games. Basically, the only thing she does in Bayonetta 3 is she basically sets the main villain free, and then she gets killed by a trash mob. Which just doesn't make any sense. She gets stabbed in the back, and she's dead. So you've got a fair amount of character assassination there as well. Like, Jean should not be dying to a trash mob. It's very strange, because that's like something they really established very early on in the DMC series, is that, like, in gameplay, you could die to a scarecrow or a Hell Pride, right? But in the actual lore, you know, Dante cannot die to them. Like, he's way too powerful for that. And they established that very early on in the cutscenes. But Bayonetta 3 kind of goes against that. She just dies to a trash mob. It's unceremonious. Very weird. And I get that, like, you know, powerful characters and villains and heroes and stuff can get caught off guard. It doesn't mean that they're invincible, but it still doesn't make any sense. And I feel like the only reason they did that was to set up Viola being the new Bayonetta, but not anywhere near enough character development for that either. Yeah, the so-called real Bayonetta dies at the end, but it's not really a series where death is a really big deal. So they could bring her back, but the writing was just terrible. It would have been like if they made Nero, they replaced Nero with Dante, or they replaced Dante with Nero in 4. It wouldn't have been as bad, but very similar. You know, they did 2 games of development for Nero before they made him like the new main character. But with Viola, they tried to speedrun it and do it in 1 game. And we all know that, like, character action games are not long, right? They're like 10 hours tops. First playthrough, watching all the cutscenes. There's just not enough game to really develop a new protagonist like that. It would have been better if Bayonetta and Jean had survived, and maybe they were, like, training Viola because they had some kind of DMC5 type situation where they're not able to protect Earth for a while. And people really liked that direction that they went with. They went with 5 because Nero had become a beloved character at that point, and he was actually, unlike Viola, actually capable of protecting the Earth. There is never any point in Bayonetta 3 where she feels even remotely capable of having that role. The whole point of the ending of 5 was that, like, Nero has grown into his own, and he is capable of protecting the Earth. Dante and Virgil are not necessarily needed. You know, there may be, like, a threat where they need to come back, but they felt comfortable leaving Earth. Or the human realm, or whatever you want to call it, because games of development to be capable of having that responsibility. The Viola, nope. She definitely did not do that. It's really weird, like, we're supposed to be getting, like, cool, strong female characters, right? She felt like a jobber the whole game. Like I said, that's not inherently a bad thing. I think the idea of having somebody have to grow to be the new Bayonetta is not a bad idea, but it was executed in the worst way possible. It left you feeling very empty. Like, how is this chick supposed to fight, like, cosmic level threats? And for the record, I do think it's pretty lame, like... You know, Tokusatsu does this a lot. Anime and manga do it a lot. Wrestling as well. You know, they want to push a new character and they just make them, like, perfect and overpowered at the start. And I don't really find that to be very interesting. It's more interesting when a character actually... They have, like, natural, organic, you know, popularity. But the opposite isn't great either. They're, like, completely useless and jobbers. Something that would have worked much better if Bayonetta 3 was not a video game. If it was literally any other kind of media. Could be a manga, a TV show, or like a stage play or a book. Like anything but a video game. I think what they were trying to do would have worked better, but the restrictions of being a character action game with like 4 hours of cutscenes was just not enough. It's really weird that they even tried. nice. Yeah, I'm probably gonna drop Zenless. I think it's gonna be PGR, Aethergazer, and Crystal of Atlan for me. At least so far. I don't know if I'll stick with Crystal. PGR I'll obviously stick with. Just prefer to stick with the ones that have less predatory monetization. I really hate the monetization in Zenless. 50-50 pity and all that stuff. Yeah, I've heard people hate the new roguelike mode because it's like hours and hours of playing for like 4 pulls. That's peak gacha game stinginess right there. I did one of them off stream. I'm like, this is kind of fun, but it's also too long. I'd like that game a lot more if it didn't have 50-50. GG's. Nah, dupes in most modern gacha games that aren't PGR are never necessary. And people who complain about those are complaining about stuff that doesn't matter. Like, yes, all those games are predatory because MiHoYo popularized 50-50 pity. But none of the popular gachas are dupe-heavy at all. You can get one copy of the character. Get one copy of the character and, you're good. Which MiHoYo game is like that, though? It's like Star Rail like that? I don't play that one. And, like, generally, you only need one copy. Star Rail is already shit because it's a turn-based gacha game. So, they can really get away with stuff like that. In the action games, it's a lot harder. I will always use Star Rail as an example of why people cannot honestly believe that turn-based games are not outdated, because that game makes millions of dollars every month. But I would not say Star Rail is a good gacha game. It's not a good turn-based game because you can just swipe and kill everything. And because it's turn-based, they're going to encourage you to do that a lot more. Turn-based games should be one-time purchases. All the strategy and stuff doesn't mean anything when they can just keep doing power creep and making the game dupe heavy. If I want to play a turn-based game, I just go play like Expedition 33. That game lets you get OP, but you can also use strategy as well. And it's $40 instead of $800 for one character. Yeah, I think turn-based gacha games are the worst. It's like, yeah, you can do it with strategy, but the game is totally designed in a way where they want you to spend money. Because it's turn-based, there's no execution already. I like the art style of Star Rail. It's got all the trappings of being turn-based, but also free-to-play. The best of the worst. It's free-to-play. It's free-to-play, but you know, they can really easily monetize a turn-based game versus an action one. It's a lot harder to get away with that aggressive power creep when it's turn-based and when it's action. For an action gacha game to be enjoyable and addictive, there has to be at least the feeling that you can do it with skill. But with a turn-based game, they just don't even try. You know, there's not really any execution involved in a turn-based game, which isn't a bad thing, but I feel like a gacha game that's turn-based is always going to be balanced around, like, you know, you can just go spend money and kill everything. Well, of course. There are turn-based games that are balls hard, but a gacha turn-based game is never going to be too difficult. Because the point is to keep you playing so you spend money. You want a hard turn-based combat game, you're going to have to find some retro game with like random encounters every 5 steps and trash mobs that can one-shot you. That's where the real difficulty is going to be. Not in a gacha game designed to be accessible so people want to spend money. So it's not something that's going to happen. That's why, like, action gachas can get away with predatory shit like that. Because they can make the bosses still difficult. And there's still, like, at least some level of execution. The more dupes that you have, the less execution that you need. But you still have to do execution. In a turn-based game, there's none of that. Which is why Star Rail is the way it is. That's totally why it's the way it is. let's see. Do I feel like doing anything else? I'm leaning towards no. Because I have to leave the house at like 9:30 to get to the convention. I'll be at a local convention today and tomorrow, so Saturday and Sunday. So there won't be any morning or afternoon streams. I'll probably do Crystal of Atlan when I come back, if people are interested in watching that. I'm not even really much of a weeb, man. I play Japanese games. I like tokusatsu, but like, I don't watch anime. I'm not into the whole waifu thing. I don't like VTubers. I don't do any of those things. I mostly just play games, but I'm at a point in my life where I need to meet new people, and I need a break from taking care of others, and it's cheap to go to. It's like $60 for the whole weekend. That's including transportation. So I might as well go. But yeah, like I don't watch any anime. I don't watch any anime at all. I don't have any hentai. I don't watch hentai. I don't have any waifus. I'm not into those things, but yeah, I've been feeling very lonely and isolated. So maybe I can make a friend there or something. Yeah, it's nice to go to. It's cheap and accessible for me. With my low budget, my low income, and not having a car. It's nice to be able to go do something. But yeah, like I don't spend like $800 on gacha waifus or anything like that. I mean, if they're fun to play, I might get a couple dupes, but I'm not into the whole waifu thing, which is why like Aethergazer and PGR bother me in some ways because they like never have any male characters, and I prefer playing as cool-looking male characters than generic anime waifus all the time. Like gacha games are really moving away from that. They just did the Wuthering Waves the 2.4 stream, and like they only announced they announced like 8 characters and only one of them is male. There's like one male character coming to that game in the next year. I really wish the games were not like that, but I guess Gooners is what they make money. That's how they make money. I like cool male characters. I get tired of 800 anime waifus. But that's what makes money. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. Thanks for watching, everybody. I thought I would stay up until the Crystal of Atlan reset, but then I'm looking at like a 3 a.m. bedtime, or 4 a.m. The convention's only for half a day, but it's also in like 106-degree heat, so that's going to burn my IRL stamina bar. I'll see you guys probably when I get back. I'll finish up Crystal of Atlan, and then maybe play some more roguelikes. Let's see, I did Comboslop, grindslop, and rogueslop, so the stream title was accurate. There was no rollslop. No rollslop here. Yeah, I should be back. Let's see, I don't know if I'm working at my neighbor's house today. Most likely I'll probably stream after, so probably around 9 or 10. There'll be more of a rollslop shelter because everybody is streaming Elden Ring Night Rain right now, and I just have no interest in watching that game. It looks really boring. If that game gets like cool like character action mods and like Diablo loots, maybe I would consider playing it someday, but I have no interest. Just gotta kill time until the next game I'll be doing is Dragon is Dead. The full release is in like a week. Although it's in like 5 days actually. So that'll be like the next newer game I'm doing. June looks pretty barren so far. There's nothing I really want to play in June. Mostly just updates for shit I've already got. I tried the Stellar Blade demo. The combat I wasn't really vibing with. That game feels like it got popular because of the character. The character is a perfect body anime waifu. The gameplay doesn't really seem like anything great. I definitely would not pay $60 for that game. The combat seemed okay, but the port is good for what it's worth. But the combat doesn't seem anything spectacular, so I'm not going to be playing that game. I know some people probably were expecting it, but I played the demo, I watched a bunch of gameplay. It really doesn't look like it's all that. I don't feel bad about skipping that one. The combat seems average at best. I'd probably rather play some indie character action games or something. Oh, that's right. Spirit X Strike. I think the early access of that is like very soon. So that'll be the game I play next. That and Dragon is Dead 1.0. I'll see you guys later. Good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.